because that's where
Jerome Powell determines what to do with interest rates. Someone interrupts to ask about rate cuts.
Eventually I will.
We really need you on top of the stock market right now.
We're trying to balance price stability and maximum employment.
Jerome Powell's dual mandate comes under pressure.
Who cares about the economy when you have stocks?
The labor market is flashing red.
The labor market's weak, so are my stocks.
The economy is strong, okay? Stocks.
Kyla Scanlon is one of the internet's favorite financial educators. She's especially popular with Gen Z for her videos breaking down how the economy works. She has hundreds of thousands of followers on all forms of social media, and her TikTok videos have millions of views.
Her new book is In This Economy, How Money and Markets Really Work, and Kyla joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I think most people, let alone young people, struggle to figure out how to save and invest. It's very intimidating and complicated and takes some discipline. What do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I think investing is definitely what you have to do in this sort of macroeconomic environment that we're in. You know, saving money is good, but putting that money to work is even more important. And you can take advantage of how the stock market specifically, has risen. And so that's really the thing, is like you just have to put the money to work. And so that's what I try to tell people and try to explain across the internet and in my book.
So for people who want to just get started, and they don't know anything about the stock market, are you just talking about simply putting money into your 401k at work?
That's a great start. Yeah, it's really just making sure that you have investments so you can secure your financial future. And of course, it's difficult for a lot of people to put some money aside in order to do that. But if you do have some extra money, making sure that it is being protected from inflation and is able to benefit from the appreciation in the stock market over time is one of the best things that you can do for your future self.
There was a lot of discussion in this past election about what the economy really was and how it might have been different than how people felt about it. And you say that how people feel about it really does have something to do with how the economy is driven. And how is that impacted by the algorithms that feed us news that may not be real?
Right. So are you talking about the idea of the vibe session?
Vibe session, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the disconnect between data and sentiment. And so that idea is that economic data is not always telling us the full story of how people are actually experiencing the economy. Sometimes that can be exacerbated, like you said, by algorithms and by social media. But the core idea of the vibe session, which has gained popularity recently, it's a term that I coined in 2022, is that sentiment and data can sometimes move in different directions. And a lot of that is due to structural affordability, so housing, childcare, elder care. And it's important to understand why that disconnect exists, and if we need better economic data metrics to tell a better story about our economy that accurately captures how people feel.
Kyle, I'm interested in your story. I think if I'm reading it correctly, you started working at like a car dealership. You're only 27 years old. You were doing an internship there. You ended up selling 36 cars in a couple of months because you were fascinated by how many people came in and didn't understand the car financing. Is that right?
Yeah, so during my sophomore year summer, so I was 19 years old, I did sell cars in Louisville, Kentucky, at the Oxmoor Hyundai dealership, and I had a pretty fun experience there. But I think a lot of that ended up spurring my interest in economic education because I was dealing with customers that would come in and to no fault of their own, but they didn't understand the financing aspect of getting a car. They didn't understand the interest rate aspect. And so for me, it was a very important opportunity to begin to really think about what economics education looks like and how we can better serve people so they don't come to a car dealership confused about what they have to purchase.
So do you find that Gen Z, or maybe it's not just a Gen Z thing, that people think they can afford more than they can, or they're getting things that are too expensive for what they can afford?
I think that's definitely something that we see in the data.
Yeah.
Borrowing is quite high. People put a lot of stuff on their credit cards, which is sort of incentivized by credit scores and things like that. I do think most people end up purchasing more than they can afford just because of the existence of consumer debt. And I just think it's important to understand the balance of that, right? So going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the segment, making sure that you're investing as well as buying a car and doing all of those things, putting your money to work for your future self, as well as taking care of your present self.
All right, the book is In This Economy, How Money and Markets Really Work. You can get more at Kyla's website. Follow her on social media. Thank you.
Thank you.